Yeah, all right. Welcome to my YouTube channel once again. Today we are continuing with the Joint Admission Matriculation Board Unified Tertiary Matriculation Exam Random Past Questions and Answers Economics. This is the number 3 in a series of random questions that I will be making videos of so far. So without waste of time, we'll just go straight into the questions. Of course, like the previous two, we have 25 questions to look at. So in order to make the video shorter, we'll go straight to the questions. Number one, economic growth is different from economic development because economic growth, A, describe expansion and changes. B is measurable but not objective. C, describe expansion and not change. D is not measurable but objective. So the answer to this question is C, because economic growth describes expansion and not changes. The difference between economic growth and economic development is that economic growth considers only the physical expansion, but not necessarily, having impact on the general well-being of the individuals in the economy. While economic development considers both, expansion, that's both expansion and then the improvement in the living standard, of the general public. So the answer is C. Number two, which of these is not a cause of high population growth in Nigeria? A, improve hygiene. B, reduction in death rate. C, family planning unit of Nigeria. D, increase birth rate. So if you look at this question, option A is not the answer. Option B is not the answer. Option C is actually the answer. The causes of high population. Which of this is not talking about not the cause of high population in improve hygiene when people live cleaner life, people live in healthy environment, and sickness will not be killing people as much. And then a reduction in death rate, with improved medical health care, people tend to live, beyond a certain level. And the increased birth rate also, leads to increased population. But family planning unit in Nigeria uh, is not a cause of high population growth, because uh, it's not really the family planning. It depends on what type of family planning is being practiced. If families adopt family planning, then it will lead to what reduction in high population. Yes. So number three, the value of money depends primarily on A, gold backing of the currency. B, the general price level. C, government decree that it is legal tender. D, none of the above. The value of money depends primarily on, I think, not I think, but the question certainly is the general price level. So the general price level will determine, the value of money. Like in Nigeria, currently, with the naira redesign and then the shortage of the new currency, and then inflation and other things, the value of naira is really has really been affected. You suffer to get, and then when you get it, the prices of goods and services are, very high. And then you spend more money to get fewer goods, compared to before. So the value is primarily on the general price level. When the price level is stable, the value of money, will be respectable. But when the general price is always, changing, especially upward, the value of money will be dropping. Yeah. So number four, Which of the following is not a cause of unemployment? A, poor education. B, lack of skills. C, good government planning. D, corruption. It's very straightforward. The cause of unemployment is good good government planning. Good government planning is not a cause of unemployment. When government plans, very well, and then implement the plans, it helps in reducing unemployment. So the answer is C, because mind you, the question is talking about which is not a cause of unemployment. If you look at the three other options, poor education, lack of skills, corruption, can lead to unemployment. Number 5, which of these is not usually the function of a wholesaler? Uh, in the production process, in economics, the production process is complete only when the good, reaches the good that is produced, by the manufacturer or the producer reaches the consumer. So, but in between the process, there are two important, individuals, that is the wholesaler and the retailer. So, in this case, which is not usually the function of a wholesaler. So the wholesaler is just part of a distributor. So if you look at the options, A, branding. B, storage. C, transport. D, advertising. So which of these is not a function of a wholesaler? Look at it, it's A. Because branding is basically the work of a producer or manufacturer. The packaging, the coloring, the sizing, and all that of you is done by the producer. The wholesaler only buys a branded good from the producer, and then he can store it. But most wholesalers will have warehouses, and he can transport it from maybe from the production plant owned by the producer to the store, or to his or her shop, or in a supermarket, warehouse. And then advertising. Sometimes wholesalers also engage in advertising in order to promote, certain products. Sometimes they do it in collaboration with the manufacturer. Sometimes they do it on their own. So the option is branding. Branding is basically done by the producer and not the wholesaler. 6, demand for labor is A, derived demand. B, joint demand. C, complementary demand. D, composite demand. All these options, you know them. So the answer is what? Is a derived demand. I believe you all know what derived demand is. It's a demand for something that you don't need for its own sake, but for the sake of what it can be used to produce. So when people are demanding for labor, they are demanding for the labor because of the service the labor is going to produce, but not basically because of the labor in itself. So the answer is D. I know you know what joint demand is. That's demand for two or more goods that must be together in order to satisfy one. Complementary goods, yeah, is also similar to joint demand, because they have to go, hand in hand. And then also composite demand is similar. So the answer to this question is the demand for labor is a derived demand. A retailer is distinguished by the nature of its sales, which is in A, bulk. B, large. C, unit. D, chain. Like I explained earlier, the retailer and the wholesaler are in the middle of the producer and the final consumer. So the retailer usually does not sell in bulk. That's the function of the wholesaler. He or she doesn't sell in large quantity. That's the function of the wholesaler. But the retailer usually sells in units. Retailer sells in units to the consumer. So the answer is C. Number 8, whatever form an economic system may take, choice is essentially for members of the community because resources are, this is very straightforward. A, scarce. B, unlimited. C, free. D, many. We know that resources are scarce. And then that is why we make choices, isn't it? Yes. So number 9, one of these is not a problem of agriculture. A, provision of employment. B, lack of preservation and storage facilities. C, land tenure system. D, poor transportation system. So one of these is not a problem of agriculture, so the provision of employment, lack of preservation and storage facility, land tenure system, poor transportation system. So the answer is A, actually. If you look at it, all the other three, that's B, C, and D, are part of the problem of agriculture. Lack of preservation and storage facility, especially in the production of perishable goods, land tenure system, the, the kind of tenure system that we have, especially in developing countries, this segmentation of land, into individual family members, ownership, and then it discourages the mechanization of agriculture. And then poor transport system. Yeah, those in the rural areas, they produce, but before they take some of the goods to the market, the roads are bad, the product gets, condemned, some of the product get condemned, and a lot of you. So the solution to this question is provision of employment, because agriculture actually provides employment to a lot of people, especially in developing countries like Nigeria, even though the employment is not really at a commercial level, but it's more like a subsistence. It provides a kind of temporary unemployment. Number 10, a permit that allows an importer to bring a certain quantity of foreign goods into a country is A, import monopoly. B, import license. C, import quota. D, embargo. In international trade, all these concepts are part of, concepts within international trade. When an individual is allowed to import foreign goods, a certain foreign goods, through the permit of government, then you should know that it is what is known as import quota. Certain individuals, certain firms can be given, a quota to import certain products. The reason why, quota is provided, it's to also, not to ensure the excessive importation of certain category of goods, especially those that are that are also produced locally. So in most cases, those import quota are initiated in order to protect, the local firms. Number 11, external economies arise essentially from A, firm's individual policy. B, localization of industry. C, government economic policy, free transferability of shares. The answer is localization of industry. External economies, when industries are concentrated in one place, they share certain infrastructure, certain facilities, and then it reduces their cost of production. And reducing that cost of production will eventually lead to what? External economies. They get the opportunity, the platform to produce, in large quantity and make higher profit. So number 12, if the demand for a commodity is perfectly elastic, the incidence of a tax on that commodity will be other things being equal entirely on the A, the buyer, B, the seller, C, the government, D, the local authority. When you're talking of perfectly elastic, it means that the price will remain constant while the quantity, keeps varying, till infinity. So in this case, it's a, if you look at the demand curve, it's perfectly elastic demand curve. And perfectly elastic demand curve will affect the seller rather than the buyer, since in this case the seller cannot influence the price. The price has to be constant. Like in economic theory, it said that in such a situation, when the seller increase the price, the buyers will not buy a single of the product. And then when the seller decreases the price, the buyers, may tend to buy all. So in such a situation, the seller will be left with no option than to leave the price untouched. And then the consumers or the buyers who decide to buy it at different quantities. So in this case, when tax is imposed, the tax is the burden of tax is carried entirely by the seller and not the buyers. So the option is B. Number 13, effective demand for a commodity is desire for that commodity backed by A, a wish for lowest possible price, B, ability and willingness to pay, C, cash in one's pocket, D, a promise to make payment. This is very simple. The definition of effective demand is the ability, to pay, right? The ability and the willingness to pay for a commodity. That is what determines if a commodity, has an effective demand or not. So this is a very straightforward question. Number 14, the determination of price by bargaining between buyers and sellers is A, sales by auction, B, tender, C, higgling and haggling, D, price control. It's the question, the answer to this is C, higgling and haggling. It's both words are similar. It's just talking about maybe like bargaining in most cases between buyer and seller. This happens mostly in not too developed economies where the markets are not too formal and not very organized. So people go there and then they bargain to buy things because prices are not fixed, and then prices are not too commonly known, to consumers. And then there's no standardization in most cases in the market. So a lot of, higgling and haggling goes on between the sellers and the buyers. Number 15, an economy system that uses what is regarded as the market mechanism is called, sorry, I have to correct this, and it should be economic system that uses what is regarded as the market mechanism is called A, mixed economy, B, socialism, C, command economy, D, capitalism. I believe all of you will know the answer to this. It is what? Capitalism. Market economy, market mechanism is basically the future of, capitalism, where you have the invisible hands, or when you have the interaction between demand and supply, and then operating at equilibrium. Number 16, the link in the channel of distribution. So the last link in the channel of distribution is A, the producer, B, the retailer, C, the consumer, D, the wholesaler. I think we'll discuss this before. Like I said, the channel of distribution in production, involves the producer and the the consumer, the final consumer, but in between, there is the wholesaler and the retailer. So the last link in the channel of distribution is the consumer. Why? Because the production process starts from the producer. When the producer finish production, the product gets to the level of the wholesaler, and then the wholesaler also sell the product to the retailer, and then the retailer, like we saw, is the one that sells in small units to the consumer. Then the consumer is the final, stop, in the channel of distribution, because the consumer consumes the goods, that he usually buys from the retailer. So number 17, palm oil industry is located in Old Bendel State because the state A, land is suitable for oil. B, is a palm tree growing area. C, soil is unsuitable for other crops. D, import raw material from palm oil industry. Bendel State, Old Bendel State, I think it's the current Edo State and Delta State. So they are well known for palm oil industry. And then the reason why they are known for the palm oil industry is what? They are both present day, Delta and Edo State are both, palm tree growing area. So it's more like the availability or the availability of raw material. So that's why the palm industry, was thriving, at the old Bendel State, the current Delta and Edo State. So the answer to this is the old Bendel State is a palm tree growing area because oil is, palm oil is produced from, the palm seeds that is gotten from the palm tree, isn't it? Yeah, it's correct. So number 18, the land that belongs to the community is referred to as a sacred land, B, individual land, C, communal land, D, rent land. The answer is communal land. Anything communal is jointly owned, but it's more like jointly owned in the word primitive may not be the right word, but it is collectively owned by the community. So it's communal. It's communal. That's why we have a communal economic system at some point. During the early development of mankind, there used to be a communal state where individuals do not own land or resources on their own, but whatsoever is gotten is jointly owned by members of the community. So the answer is C. Number 19, which of the following sets fully represent factors of production? A, sunlight, machinery, man, land. B, land, water, weather. C, money, market, middlemen. D, land, labor, capital, enterprise, technology. Yeah, so this question is very, very simple, except for the addition of technology. Maybe that's when it will confuse some other people, because in some books you see only land, labor, capital, and enterprise, while some do add technology to it. But the major factors of production are land, labor, capital, enterprise, and their rewards are what? Land, rent, attract rents, labor, attract wages or salaries, and capital, interest, enterprise attracts, profit. Yeah. So number 19, which of the following countries is not a member of the Economic Community of West African States? A, Sudan, B, Gambia, C, Togo, D, Nigeria. Yeah, so for some of you that may be very good in geography or even economics, you know that out of this option, only Sudan is out of play because Sudan exists in the Eastern African region. Sudan is a member of the Eastern African region, together with countries like Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Somalia. They belong to the, East, while Gambia is in West Africa. Togo, it's just an immediate neighbor to Nigeria. Nigeria, Togo, Gambia are all members of the Economic Community of West Africa, except for Sudan. So the answer is Sudan. 21, oligopoly means a single buyer in the market. B, few buyers in the market. C, few sellers in the market. D, many sellers in the market. The answer to this is few sellers in the market, because we're talking of oligopoly. When you have just few sellers in the market and you're talking about oligopoly, unlike monopoly where you have one, and then duopoly where you have two sellers. So oligopoly refers to few, maybe 3, 4, 5, 7, and all what have you. So that's the answer. We're moving forward. Number 22, a good measure of the standard of living usually used for international comparison is A, per capita income, B, gross national product, C, net national income, D, gross domestic product. So, when we're talking about international comparison, living standard, then we have to look at the per capita income, because that is what determines the living standard of individuals in an economy or in a country. It's usually done in dollar rate. At some point it used to be $1 a day, and then I think of recent it has been increased to about $1.5. So how to calculate the per capita income is to get the GDP and then divide it by the total population, and then that's when you know how much each individual is entitled, or is entitled from the economy. So the answer is A. Number 23, in a free market economy, the rationing of scarce goods is done principally by A, the consumer, B, the government, C, the price mechanism, D, all of the above. In a free market, capitalist economy, we've discussed this already. That is done by the price mechanism. The price mechanism is what determine the rationing of scarce goods, in a free market economy. Inflation is likely to benefit A, debtors, B, persons with back savings, C, creditors, D, persons who live on fixed pension funds. Inflation, is a general and persistent rise in the prices of goods and services over a long period of time, over a period of time. So who tends to benefit from inflation? The answer is creditors. Yeah, why? Because as a debtor, sorry, my mistake. The answer is debtors, because as a debtor, when you are indebted and when there is inflation, by the time the debtor is paying, the value of the currency would have depreciated, and then maybe the debtor may find it easier to even pay, but when the debtor pays the money, to the creditor, by then the creditor would have lost, because the value of the money, by then would have been depleted, by inflation. Yeah, so the answer is A. A debtor is likely to benefit. So the last but not the least, money becomes a very good store of value in a period of A, harvest, B, deflation, C, recession, D, inflation. Money becomes a very poor store of value in a period of A, harvest, D, deflation, C, recession, D, inflation. This question is similar to the immediate past question. Money becomes poor store of value in a period of inflation. I think I've already explained it there. When there is inflation, and you store your money or you keep your money without investing it, at the end of the day, the value of the money gets eroded by inflation, and therefore, with time, the value of the money will keep decreasing because of the impact of inflation. Yes. So that is that. Thank you very much for staying with me up to the end of this video, please, I would like you to subscribe to the video, share it, and make comments. Anything that you feel should be done so that the quality, and then, or maybe an area that you want me to look at in order to help in you know, in order to help in making videos, that will also help you. Please just let me know through the comments, and I'll always respond. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.